Alright, guys, we're going to start recording here in 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Other Side podcast. We are here again. My name is Will DSA. We got the one and only Whale, True, in the house, and we got a newcomer. Roran decided he was going to be asleep in today, so we brought on the doctor himself, Mr. Science. Guys, what is going on today, and how are we doing?
Hey, Will. Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yep, doing pretty good.
All right, guys. Now, this is another episode here. We're going to do 4 subjects today. We're going to try and keep it relevant each time, try and do it weekly. And the first thing we're going to talk about is, what do you want to call it? The Shan Yu change. How about that? The Shan Yu change. For those that are not aware, in-game, up until recently, Shan Yu's leadership read as giving 8% speed to Kingdom characters. Recently, after this last patch, unannounced initially in the patch, and I'm not even sure it was even updated, I haven't seen it, but Shan Yu's speed suddenly changed to 12%. Now, in a game like this, if you've ever played it, the jump of 4% speed on any sort of faction is huge. It's not a light deal. So the question was like, whoa, this is a big deal. Why wasn't it announced? And then people were coming out and saying, no, it was probably always 12%, and the 8% was a typo. And, they were saying, the math did it, because if you did 8%, some of these speeds weren't working out. But as we know in this game, speed is a crapshoot in this game. We don't really know. But overall, I guess the problem I have with it is whether it was 8% or 12% regardless, it's the perception that it gave. I'll take an example. Hero gives 10% bonus to tech, and then if you have him leveled up, 10% to Big Hero 6 teammates when they come out. And right now, we're still not even sure if the Big Hero 6 part is working out, but we know that the tech one is working out now. So the big advantage of getting a hero lead is, okay, my hero, with his fast speed and his ability, if his leadership is good, are going to outpace a Shan Yu team. I'm going to be able to get the shield up for the most part before I get obliterated, and we're off to the races and we're in an even match. Now, if Shan Yu is and has always been 12%, to me, that's a case of almost false advertising of, I bought Hero because, one, he's a good character, but also because specifically he can outspeed Kingdom and get me some protection. And if Shan Yu was always 12%, that's not the case. And I probably still would have gotten him, but it would have made me want to get him less. So as we're doing this, let's go ahead, as you talk, I'm going to pull up Shan Yu on the screen. Take a look at it so you guys can see it. But Science, you're new here. What are your thoughts on this little deal?
Your perspective of this as people buying it purely for that speed boost, but I definitely understand where you're coming from there. When I saw it, I went, oh no, this is a bad sign, because I thought the next time there was a speed lead, it would go from 12 to 16, and that we'd keep seeing it just increase and essentially Kingdom just completely fall off the map as a viable team. And I had hoped, based on other things we'd seen, that they were going to keep balancing the teams as new ones come out. So the fact that we see, knowing that actually isn't an increase and that it's similar, I think I see it as a good sign for the health of the game. But I do agree that there's definitely a lot of false advertising there. And at the same time, I've yet to see a Kingdom versus Tech team, but I have a feeling that Tech might not even actually be better than Kingdom. I mean, Hero, especially Kingdom plus Hero. So I would be curious to see if there'd be more balancing needed on other aspects of the kit besides the speed to make Tech a viable team.
That's fair. And, Tech, it looks good, but definitely doesn't seem to be meta breaking. True, what are your thoughts on, where Shan Yu is and how all that is lumping itself together?
Well, for Shan Yu, we all know that's really the free-to-play route to go for him being part of the best free-to-play teams, if not one of the best together. But I never really used Kingdom, honestly, for me. so I didn't really think too much of it.
And that's completely fair. And I guess the thing, I come from a background where detail to me is important. Fact checking is important, doing all these things, and that is a part of it that I guess gets me. You're making a game, you're asking people to spend money on this game, and people do. I feel like there should be a process where this sort of thing shouldn't happen. I mean, Shan Yu was in the beta. Shan Yu was in global release automatically. Like nobody has checked this. And it was brought up a couple times I'd seen in the past where people are like, Shan Yu doesn't feel like he's working right, or Kingdom doesn't feel like he's working right with various different things. And I guess my wonderance is, what kind of checking do they do initially? Like, because to me, if you misprint an ability, sometimes it's okay, but something like a misrepresentation of 4% in a speed-based game is huge, and I don't feel like that should be missed. Or not, if it's been missed, I don't feel like it shouldn't be corrected, quicker than all hell. So I guess that's the part that really gets me. I don't know. What do you guys think on that part specifically? And as far as the fact checking, because we have seen a couple of things in this game recently where it's been like, how did you guys miss that?
Yeah, I think it shows how, I mean, people have lauded the devs for being communicative, but I've seen other things, especially like bug reports and all that, kind of go unnoticed. And obviously, it's not big things. Like I have one where every single time I play the Scrooge event, I use the hammer, and with 5 left standing, but I don't get the 3rd star because I use the hammer. And that seemed to be another thing elsewhere where the hammer was involved. And it's not like it's a big thing, but like I haven't seen a response on that. I don't know if anyone who did send in the bug saying, "Hey, I don't think Shan Yu's working right," saw a response on theirs. And it might have been something where they went, "You know what? We know it's working right," and didn't even think anything about the fact that maybe the players had something to go off of when they sent that feedback in. So to me, it just shows a lack of responsiveness. And whether or not they checked the wording, they should have at least known when people were reporting it that it might be something worthwhile to look into.
True. Any thoughts about that sort of communication?
Well, yeah, because the character's been out for, I think the beta lasted for a year, just about, and they're just now noticing that it's only not only 12%, but it is 12% and not 8%. There should have been some sort of testing, some sort of something to figure that out, but they just didn't seem like they never caught it until recently, which I don't know how they did. They just changed it without saying anything.
I don't think they wanted to get all the bad feedback, even though obviously people were going to catch it either way.
Well, they're already getting bad feedback, so.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Shan Yu, 8%, 12% will be a factor. And given how things are right now, I mean, I know we were talking before that there seems to be a Kingdom team running around that's beating Frozen, but that's like a hybrid Kingdom team, just like Dash Hero Frozen is a hybrid Frozen team. So it's not like it's this overpowering thing, and most Frozen teams you can handle pretty well at the end game stage if you're planning for it. So it's more thought of how was this not caught before? Why did you not announce this and say you were changing instead of this sneaky hot fix? I hate unannounced hot fix or things that have a magnitude. That probably gets me more than anything, but it is what it is. But speaking of characters, we have had 2 new ones and a spell come into the game. It's been a while since we've actually gotten a new spell, and I'm of course talking about Moana, Maui, and the Grammatala spell. Um, Go ahead, True. What are your thoughts on Moana, Maui, and the spell? As far as your use for them and the kits and how they'll fit in.
Well, with Moana, I like Moana chaining to, was it 3 to 4 or 3 to 5 people? That's really good with the slow on the end. And her last special deals a lot of damage from what I've seen. And I think it scales off the percentage of health they have, I believe, off the top of my head.
Let me
And the
go
only
ahead and put
problem
her
I
up on the
find,
screen.
yeah, and the only problem I had with Moana is her unique or her passive, where it taunts a random character in the beginning. I find that to cause some sort of problem.
And
Taunts a character you don't want to taunt.
I could agree with that. And what I'll say about that is I was really negative on it at first, but I think I might be coming it down to liking it. It's another way to get beyond a Kristoff, and it may be a case of like everybody on the team gets like a speed stone, or a certain people get a speed stone. She's just not going first. As long as she's not going first, and you're having other guys, specifically, hopefully, a damage dealer, get out before her, you can, decide who is going to go ahead and do that and get the taunt. So I think it's something you have to manage, but definitely can help versus in this case, Kristoff, and getting around it, especially if you've damaged, say, a hero first or something like that. So it might not be the best, but it could be almost a plug and play initially. If you ever plugged her into a team that was just faster with like a
Find her
dash or
too much
something.
plug and play though.
Maybe not, but I'm trying to find a positive here. Okay, True. Let me have my positives. So I mean, I think Moana's a good character. Science, what do you think about Moana? And before you answer that, Daniel, my son, turn it down or go in your room, sir. Daniel's going to be a regular on this podcast, just so we all know. And go ahead, Science.
I
By the way,
faced her once.
yeah, Discord audio sucks. People keep popping in and out, guys. We're just going to deal with it. We'll find other solutions eventually, but keep on talking.
Okay, so I don't have Maui or Moana. I have faced a single Gear 7-star Moana once, and it was a bit underwhelming, except for the fact that she put a taunt on my dash. So that that was not great. But my biggest thing about them is the fact that we've seen just these two and three. I'm not sure if they're designed to go together because of the oceanic synergies there, but I think it's interesting that recently we have not really seen a good full 5 characters come out that have the same kind of synergy Frozen does, and I don't expect them to counter Frozen necessarily at the cost to get these characters, but I do think it's interesting that we don't have a great team to plug them into. Always going to be the same, dealing the same kind of damage that Dash or Elsa does. They're just going to fit into the same teams they always have been. So we'll see how that turns out. So far, I like the synergies between Maui and Moana. I think it's going to take some more interesting supporting cast to make them work within the meta, though.
Absolutely. I think of both of them. I mean, Maui actually piques my interest a bit. His kit feels really good. Like his leadership feels good. Like I was thinking of even a team Moana, Maui, Gantu, Bubbles, Hero. I mean, all that shield and that evasion just feels really nice. The invincibility on a tank is we haven't seen that yet. So that's even annoying when you face him in like the regular tower things. It's like killed everything else, now you got to waste more time and beat Maui because he's got invincible for 2 turns or whatever. Like it's annoying there. I can't imagine what it actually feels like facing it. And he just feels like a strong tank. He has the ability, especially on a mostly oceanic team with the bubbles, like to get a full stun on the team, which is great. The one thing I have up on my screen, his second level unlock for kind of a big deal confuses me. If an opponent is not inflicted with stun, instead inflict offense down for 2 turns. And I look at this 2 ways. Do they mean this is a typo and it's supposed to say if an opponent is inflicted with stun, they instead get offense down for 2 turns? Or if the
check
stun
out the
doesn't-
main text on the right. The main text says inflict stun, and if they don't have stun, then if they already have stun, then you inflict stun another turn. If they don't have stun, then instead, or they inflict offense down for 2 turns as well, I think is what that's supposed to say.
If they don't get stunned, they get the offense down.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping it actually meant. Okay, so that's what I was thinking too. They just worded it they word things very weirdly in this game sometimes. Like when you see a leadership for even Shan Yu, it says, kingdom allies get, essentially X% bonus speed. Typically, when you're talking about allies, you're not talking about the character itself that's giving the ability. You're talking about the people who are allied with them. But Shan Yu gets his leadership. Hero gets his leadership. So their wording on things really kind of gets me sometimes. Like, is this working the way you mean, or did you mean something else? But regardless...
My guess based on the wording... Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, so yeah, go ahead and tell me your thoughts on Maui, because I actually think he might be a centerpiece, because we know Gantu and Bubbles are strong. I think that team just needed a strong on team tank, and that is Maui. So I feel like they could be a strong contender, and they have the toughness with all these abilities. And if you add Hero into the mix as a plug and play, like, to get through all the big hits that Frozen can deal with. So, what do you guys think? Some thoughts on Maui?
Yeah, I hadn't looked at his kit much, but looking at this now, I think I figured out what the wording means here. So I think it's kind of like, if they resist the stun, then you inflict offense down, and that's unresistible. I think it's kind of means, hey, if we can't make them skip a turn, at least their next couple turns are really not going to do as much damage.
Right.
And overall, it seems from, obviously this is the first time I've really looked at his kit since I haven't unlocked him. He does seem like a strong, not just tank role, but really good at applying debuffs. I mean, 50% chance to inflict slow. You steal 30% speed meter already from a target opponent. Like, that's a lot of good, not just I need to say, if they are designed to go together, the Lilo and Stitch and the Moana characters, I'm about that. Like, you don't really get to see these two different movies from different eras, essentially, mixed together in any sort of content at all. And now we're seeing potentially synergy between these two oceanic movies. It's kind of cool.
Drew, what are your thoughts on Maui? Specifically, because you are one of our whales, and I wanted to get Raging on here, a booter from our team as well, because he whales as well. But how are you feeling about these characters that you can't even whale on in the beginning? Do you think that's a positive or negative? And then also tell me what you think about Maui's kit. And we saw it kind of with Gizmo Duck. Like, we get the pack at the end, but it's just like, you don't get to see him right away unless you spend 100 million gems on refreshes. What's your thoughts?
Well, for Maui, I'm at 25 shards, so I more to go. And I did about 3 or 4 refreshes, I think, just about. But his kit seems pretty good. All his cooldowns are kind of low, especially his first special. His passive seems really interesting to always assist. Or not always assist, but have a chance to assist on Oceanics and then heal them. So, I mean, as long as Maui's alive, he's constantly assisting and healing, which seems kind of good for the Oceanics.
Just imagine
but overall...
Yeah, go ahead, Drew. Sorry.
A solid tank from what I can read until I actually unlock them and play with them.
Right. So I was looking when he first came out. I really kept coming back to his passive end. So let's read it for everybody on there, because the screen is a little small, but you can look at it in game. First time this character's health falls below 30%, gain invincibility for 2 turns. That's great. Keep in mind though that I believe invincibility can be purged and it can be stolen by Iago. Pretty sure it can, because it's an effect that can be stolen. It's not like it's harmful immunity. So I think that's how it works. I haven't tested. I want to. But so 20% chance to assist Oceanic
I've
teams.
actually tested that.
Does Iago steal it?
Iago doesn't steal it.
He doesn't.
Because I tried that. No, unless they changed, unless they fixed it. But from what I've tested, Iago didn't steal Invincible.
And I thought Iago was going to be good again.
Yeah.
But 20% chance to assist Oceanic teammates when they attack, which is a good chance along with Bubbles. Like him and Bubbles, the assist chance is going to be silly. And imagine like Bubbles is passing out taunts, or not taunts, tactics, putting tactics on. Let's assume Bubbles puts tactics on Maui here. So that anything with a percentage becomes 100% till his next turn. So it's a 100% chance to assist Oceanic teammates when they attack. And Maui's going to be slow because he's a tank, so there's going to be some attacks getting in there. If you level him up on assisting any teammate, restore health equal to 100% of this character's recovery. Now imagine only if imagine if his recovery is only like 1,000 or something like that. I'm assuming he's going to have a pretty high recovery when he's maxed. You're going to go ahead and get the recovery multiple times. So he's going to, all those hits he takes, you're probably going to get at least 2,000 or 3,000 back if he's got this on him and he's hitting. And then 10% chance to assist Oceanic teammates when they attack. So even if you don't have tactics, 30%. Like, as long as his recovery is good and he gets tactics on him, it's going to be silly. I feel really strongly about this passive. What do you guys thought?
Yeah,
am I overblowing this? Do you think?
No, I think you're right. I mean, again, this is the first time I'm seeing the kit, but that is a very strong passive because every time he assists, he then regains a deep take him out to begin with to prevent this. But I think he's going to be really tough to take out. And if you like, I think if there's some other synergy that can get him doing some decent damage on these two, I mean, if he were like a Sven level damage, it'd be game over. But I think even at any sort of amount of damage and assisting and regaining health, he's going to be a very tough tune to get rid of because you're going to want to deal with him last, or all the attackers are going to kill you, and he's going to be taunting and regaining health. He's going to be worse than Kristoff if you can get that taunt off fast.
And this is a clear cut putting a recovery stone on him. Like him with recovery stone is going to be silly.
It just depends on what his recovery is.
I know. So we can actually take a. Can
I mean, DSA fan has him at 1,300.
What's that?
DSA fan has it at 1,300.
Well, I mean that's probably a data mine.
7.
Yeah, I mean.
So 1,300. Okay, so say 1,300.
I don't think based on your screen, I don't think he has the stat yet. I think that's max.
Yeah, so 1,300. So say that recovery is 1,300. He's got 90 speed, so he's on par with the tank. So he's going to be slow. He's going to have chances. And I wonder if he assists off like an assist from Bubbles. Like I'm wondering if they'll stack on each other.
1,600.
Okay, so 1,600, and then if we look at recovery stones, let's take a look at recovery stones real quick. Oh, I hate the layout when I want to go to boost sometimes.
Except for speed and crit chance.
Is it 15% on a fully maxed one?
Yeah, 5, 10, 15, I believe.
So anyone want to do quick maths? 13, you're 1,600
so
times.
It's about
10?
824. But you're looking at about almost 2,000.
Which, if he gets to assist, say, 3 times, that's 6,000 health. Like, that's
1,840.
Good. Like, if he gets to recover almost 6,000 health on a turnaround, there aren't many characters that can get through that consistently. And especially imagine if he's got, like, the shields he already gets. Hero's recovery with his shield and his evasion. Like, this team feels tanky. Like, if it works that way, and his health is anywhere near on par with a Simba or a... Could you imagine facing a team... Imagine this team. Maui, Gantu, Bubbles, Hero, Simba. Just all the tankiness in the world. Gantu, if he's fully leveled, is smashing you, and you're never getting through the tanks. You're not doing it. At least not well. I don't know, maybe I'm just weird, but that feels like a fun team just because I'm annoying to people. I've stunned them into silence.
I mean, you're always into these big tank teams, but
I am.
I think if
Leave me alone.
I think his main benefit is going to be kind of the way we've seen Kristoff used. What's his speed? Because I mean, the main benefit of Kristoff obviously is the
Is his speed ability to get out there
Maui's
beforehand?
speed maxed out is 112.
Which
So that's not bad.
it's
I mean,
it's not. And if you pair him with like a hero, like you could easily go hero, give Maui the turn, taunt up for Maui, and then be off to the races.
Yeah, I mean he's one speed slower than Anna, so you could rely on stones, I suppose, to get him off. Because Anna's really going to get that turn meter going for.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get that taunt off before like anyone else, but like Dash takes a turn, you might be really deadly there. And I think then after that, obviously put him with Moana and just anything else that's going to have a lot of attacks and either like just a bunch of paper cuts on a team that and a lot of debuffs or just some overpowering damage.
Right. Now, going on to something I actually think has not been talked about enough.
I'd love to make
Ramatala.
like a defensive team.
Oh, me too. True, do you have any more
Yeah.
thoughts on those guys before I jump into what I think is the hidden gem in all of this stuff?
Well, going off of what Doc was saying about Maui getting his taunts out first, in Moana's kit, when Maui taunts, Moana takes a turn right after.
Yep.
So that can also work with, their team synergy.
Absolutely. So if she takes a turn right after, then he can immediately assist her and get some health back. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
But the hidden gem I think in this is Grammatala's spell. This spell, the more I look at it, the more I feel happy. It's on the screen right now. Heal target teammate for 20%, 25% of their maximum health, a la healing Maui or Kristoff or something like that. Feels very nice. But in this case, Maui or any character. If in a tower encounter, heal an additional one teammate who has the lowest current health for the same amount. If Moana is a teammate, she gains the following: cleanse all harmful effects, gain harmful immunity for 2 turns. That in and of itself feels powerful, but look at its upgrades if you want to get into it. 2%, and we'll go with the maxed one. So if we max this out, it gives 2%, and then an additional 1%, so 3% total of bonus health restored per oceanic ally. So that would be 15% more. So that would include 25 plus 15 is 40% health restored, and then an additional 5% base restored. So generally around 5, 7, 8 times 5 is 40% health restored in general. And I know the math gets a little weird, but you add that additional 40 to 25, you get 65% health restored. And I don't know how fast the cooldown is, but that seems really good. What do you guys think?
I think you added the 25 in there twice, and also I think it's 2 that includes yourself. So that would be 12 plus 5, 17 plus 25, so 42%, which is still half your health.
Yeah. Okay, maybe my math sucks. Again, worded very weirdly.
Yeah, maybe it's fine. But I think the heal is going to be great, especially paired with hammer, because it kind of does what the hammer was kind of benefiting people with sustain. But I think that the whole harmful effect immunity is going to be huge too against a lot of different teams. Although I will say I did face a level 1 Grammatala with that Moana, and it was still easy enough to overpower that health increase. It didn't only, I think it came out twice during the match. I don't know how
Mhm.
quick it is compared to other spells, but it take advantage of this.
True.
Yes,
What are
definitely.
your thoughts of the flying stingray?
I like how they included the tower encounter part of it, because that
Uh
shows
huh.
that they can have a club conquest spell that has an additional effect, and it makes tower a lot more easier, which I think it would work for the Stitch Tower that's supposed to be coming up in a couple days or so.
Absolutely. And on a quick tangent, I mean, and we've talked. You know what? No, we'll save that till the end, because it might be relevant. So overall, what are your thoughts on Oceanic? I feel like they are getting stronger and maxed out. I kind of want to see how they hold against Frozen because they may seem tanky enough to do it, especially if you can get like a Gantu rolling with some damage, and Moana's damage is what it appears to be in some of the stuff I've seen Cozy do. Those two paired together can get out of hand relatively quickly. So, what is your final thoughts on some of those?
I mean, considering what the Oceanic was like before this,
Mm-hmm.
this is a huge boost.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like competing with Frozen, I would love to see them at the very least beat Frozen against the AI. I know other teams can as well, but I think that's a huge thing, especially when you consider other games like this, where it's great if the meta can beat any other team, whatever. Obviously, you want to encourage people to spend on it. But if that meta team can be beaten when the AI is playing it by a handful of other teams, I think that's what really makes a game good, makes the arenas and tournaments diverse. And I'd love to see that here if that were the case.
Sounds fair. True. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, just like how he said with Oceanics not being really relevant at all. Like the best Oceanic before was Captain Jack, I believe, and he wasn't really too. I'm happy that they're, picking new factions to be more meta relevant.
Absolutely. So, speaking of kind of progressing in the game and making things of relevance, we did get a announcement for some hopefully Gear Crunch release. It was the Summoner Surge event. There's a special limited time Surge event that they had announced, and the event information said campaign drop rates for T4 gear increased, or T4 plus gear, and premium and VIP exchange discounts for certain T3 to T6 gear. And you can read this announcement yourself, but basically they increased some of the drop rates. They included full pieces in the exchange, do some prices, etc. Um, what were you guys' thoughts on this? Now, number one, before they made this announcement, there was the double gear drop going on. Like right when they made this announcement, they had the double gear drop going on. And then I haven't seen anything else. Did this event already happen? Did I completely miss this? Or has this event not happened?
I didn't see it. I've been wondering the same thing. I don't think
I've
it
been
happened yet.
I've been hearing people say it happened already. True? Have you heard anything? Seen anything?
From what I was on vacation when all these updates were coming on, but I was trying to, keep up to date. But from what I've seen, the increased drop rates has not been really noticeable. And the
Agreed.
premium there, but they're not really a lot. Like they have the tier 6 pieces and the premium exchange, which is nice, because those
Mm-hmm.
take a lot of resources to make. And some of the items are discounted, but I haven't
Yeah.
really noticed anything else.
Yeah. Now I know that they've increased the drops in like the summoners challenges, which are nice. That's nice, but it's still getting to tier 6 right now is not a problem. That's just a, for the most part an easy grind. Tier 7 as it should be is a hard grind. So I don't know if this event has happened. I don't feel like it has. We did get discount. I don't know if we've seen the discounts in the premium or the VIP exchange. I'm gonna go take a look at that.
I
Wait.
think they dropped all the changes with the discounts, but I don't think we've seen that special event they mentioned.
which
Well, I don't think
drives me
it's an
crazy.
event like that pops up. It's just
Isn't it?
That's what I thought, but people said it already happened.
really
And I'm like,
understand either.
are they confusing that with the double gear drop that happened,
Oh,
or what?
I think they were. Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, because none of these prices have
It's a
changed.
good question.
I would be
The
hoping it hasn't
droplets have
happened.
changed. Those used to be like 850, I believe.
That's right. So yeah, they were 850, and then the VIP they changed, but they didn't change the full T6 pieces though. That's sad.
No, those weren't discounted. Sadly.
God forbid.
I
Why
am
would you do
curious
that?
to see how much it affects farming for those free to play. I mean, at this point, they're obviously discounting these helps the whales get higher faster. But I'm curious if it helps like T4, how easy is it for someone to go straight from like gear 1 to like gear 4 now? Because I mean, usually before I'd get to 3 and then have to farm a bit. I'm wondering if they're trying to make it so that thanks for I'd really like to see if that makes it easier to at least get through the first like 4 gear levels, because I think
Right.
that's gonna really help the free to play people more than anything.
Definitely.
I agree. Now I think Gear 4 and 5 is, outside of a couple little things here and there, aren't bad getting to. That's not a problem. Gear 6, like right now I'm getting Hades up to Gear 6, and that's going to take a second, but it's not horrible. Gear 7 is definitely just this annoying, like I worked for so long on Hero, and I spent a little bit on Hero. Just like, oh my god, I just wanted to be done already. And that leads us into our next piece. Along with many of the things that they announced, some changes to Hook. Tinkerbell is obviously going to be meta now with her changes. You can go check that out. They have this little in small print stuck at the bottom posting. Miscellaneous. Soon, we will be increasing the level cap and allowing players to obtain certain T7 gear pieces. This is to support a future release that will allow you to obtain gear through other means. Now, that's 2 sentences, but that is, for this game, a lot to unpack. There's a couple things in there. The mention of tier 7 gear pieces. Now, if you notice in the exchange, everything is labeled as T6, even those full pieces. So does getting T7, we'll start with this, does getting T7 gear pieces indicate we are getting up to a tier 8 upgrade in the near future? Start with that one. And is it a good idea if that's what it means?
I mean, I hope it doesn't. I mean, if they want to make it easier to get to tier 7, that's great. Because right now, the people who have full tier 7 rosters bought them. I mean, since I got to level 60, I have been slowly free to play trying to get gear 7. I think Roran saved up enough to have, I think he's at 3 or 4 maybe, and I'm about to get my second. And it'd be a lot better for the health of the game, especially the health of the arena, or for the tournament, I guess, if free to play players could reach easily, at least maybe like a little bit quicker, especially if they're trying to increase to gear 8 now. I can't even imagine the kind of gear that's going to take. And we're stuck here still trying to get to tier 7 while all the whales are going to be up at 8 and be probably untouchable at that point. Because right now, I mean, you can use a gear 6 frozen team and beat a gear 7 frozen team. And if they jump straight to gear 8, that's over.
True, what are your thoughts on this? Because I know you're full.
Yeah,
You've got
I
at least
couldn't
one
agree
team
more.
at T7, right? So you got your full arena team at T7 at this point, right?
Talking about me or True?
True.
I'm pretty sure me.
Yeah.
I have Hero at like 3 of 6 pieces, but Hero doesn't really need to be tier 7 in my opinion. I just have like his speed piece, and that's really it.
I just
And
got
his
him to tier
evasion.
7. He is less squishy, and those shields get much more powerful because his recovery is boosting his shields even more. Like, I'm pretty sure that's the interaction. That's the only
Yeah,
reason
that's how
he.
it works.
Yeah, like his
But
shields,
it's
you
only
see a
like
big thing.
200 more shield if I were to put those pieces on. And to me, that's just not worth it, especially if they're going to be increasing
Yeah.
the
I
gear
mean,
levels and level cap.
and the level cap, like, what is that going to be increased to? It's just like we just got to level 60, and that was annoying. Why does it need to be up to a level 65 or whatnot? And the only answer can be, or one of the only plausible answers that can be, if they don't want to piss about 900 million people off, is this little piece at the end. This is to support a different future release that will allow you to obtain gear through other means. That's a raid. That's something, because that's what raids did in Star Wars: Galaxy of Heroes. They
Yeah.
let you get these gear pieces that were hard to get. That I mean, can you guys think of anything else? And maybe they
Potentially
call it
full
like,
gear pieces too.
yeah, maybe they call it Legendary Tower or something. I don't know. Like, so you can use the Moana spell in it, but something's got to be coming if they do this, right? Because that's what happens if they introduce tier 8, a new level cap, but nothing comes. That
I mean, at this point, I would imagine they have to have an event coming. Obviously, I mean they're alluding to that here. If not a raid, some competitively earn these gear pieces. We're not going to hand them out, obviously. So there has to be something to do that makes it difficult but worth your time to earn them. And it's not even like the level increase. Obviously, there are people who haven't even reached 60 yet, and I have, so maybe it doesn't bother me as much because of that. But I'm not as bothered by that as I am by the gear, because yeah, it makes it harder to get your entire like roster up to that level, but it doesn't have too many other implications to the overall the gear does. And I mean, if they're going to make it easier for free to play, that's great, but how much easier is it going to be? Because until now, the free to play players, at least since Frozen, they've been able to work towards Elsa, and so far they have yet to replace Frozen in the meta, which in my opinion is somewhat free to play friendly in the way that next time Frozen comes around, if it's still the top or if not close to the top team, that's a lot of benefit to. They've been releasing all those other characters that the whales can throw money at, but it doesn't change the meta, which is rather free to play friendly. They don't need those characters unless they want them. But now they're putting it. It looks like they're trying to appeal to that very small group that's spending a lot, and they've spent themselves into a place where they have nothing else to spend on. And I'm not a big fan of that. Even if it does mean a raid is coming to make it a little bit easier, which I would love, I don't think that adding a gear level or anything else should be the reason to do that, and I don't think a raid should justify it.
True. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just hope that like if it is, a raid, that you won't need these Gear 8 characters to, participate in it. That's what I'm kind of worried about.
So don't gate it behind a new level cap or a new gear cap, to be able to
Exactly. Because a
participate in
lot
the
of
new
people don't
content.
have Gear 7s, even
Right.
like a full team of Gear 7s. A lot of people don't have those already. So gating it behind something that maybe less than 1% of the player base has is just going to make people hate it.
Yes,
I
and I
can't
think
believe they would do that.
Yeah, I don't think they would, but who knows?
I mean, we have, to be fair, seen some interesting decisions made. Um, the requirements for character events have certainly shifted in a way that means more grinding and higher level than, say, the other events, in my opinion. Like, to me, grinding, even as free to play for like the Toy Stories, wasn't that bad. Like, the requirements didn't feel bad, and the rewards also felt better. Like, the rewards for the Toy Story event, like the gear piece drops and everything, felt fantastic. The rewards I get now from this one just feel kind of lackluster. Like, I don't know if gear drop or rates have changed, or like it just feels different. It feels tighter. I don't know if you guys have gotten that same sense.
I definitely agree. I mean, we've seen even from Moana here now. I mean, before I think between the beginning of an event and the end of an event, you could at least start to get shards for the characters that you can't unlock from the first stage of the event. And there's no way full I think it's 5 star. Yeah, I think it's 5 star Gear 5 Oceanic team, because I was expecting that they would be used for the one of the Speed Stone trials. And I was thinking, okay, this is perfect. I'll get the team up there, and now I can use it for Moana. But even with that team, I'm not able to unlock her this time around. I'm not even going to get close to getting any shards of Maui, which I feel like all the previous events, you at least were able to get shards, if not even unlock at a couple stars. The like the Toy Story
Like
and
the event character.
Incredibles.
And true, and Science, you can back me up. Like with Toy Story, it feels like they've made this unlocking bit interesting. Like I remember, you could unlock it like a 3 star, so that's what 50 shards or something like that. Now it's just like for some market characters, it's like these you can unlock it at 4 stars or whatnot. It's like I'm okay. Let people unlock it at a 2 or 3 star. Why gate that? And if people want to get it up farther, quicker, then they can wait. Let people who are free to play unlock these characters at the very least. Like if you're at a decent level in Galaxy of Heroes, like I have Mon Mothma at 3 stars. I unlocked her. I got 3PO and Chewbacca at 3 stars. Like that's fair. And we've seen in that game, like 3 stars in the right mode, if they're good enough and geared enough, can have viability. So I don't get this whole like Gizmo Duck. I didn't get Gizmo Duck because I didn't want to spend $40 on Gizmo Duck and finish it off. I don't care that much about Gizmo Duck. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Like, it feels like it's much harder to unlock a character now. I'm talking a regular character, not like a Zurg or a Elsa, but like just a regular character. Like, does it feel harder now?
Oh yeah,
Oh
definitely. I
yeah.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even care. Like I have lost interest in unlocking any of these racing characters because there's no point in trying to keep up. You're gonna have to spend ridiculous amounts, right? True, and it is not even just that, but like unlocking the characters barely provides any benefit. Even if they were meta defining, it would be difficult to like justify it because that would mean that they're changing the meta already. So there's risk, and if I wanted to be able to use them, I would need to be able to unlock them, and we never had that before. I mean, even with some of the original events, and even with like Frozen, you at least got a heads up of what you needed to farm beforehand to get to Elsa. They drop the characters and let you farm them, and then here comes Elsa. I mean, there's no way there's another Moana character that's better than Maui, and he's already in the event here. And they released him and Moana at the exact same time with no heads up that we needed Oceanics besides making you buy other Oceanics. So, not a fan.
Drew, what are your thoughts on that? Of the availability of at least unlocking characters?
Well, I think this is the first event where you needed a spell to progress in the event, if I'm not mistaken.
You are right. I don't
And that
think
kind
any of them
that kind of
required a spell.
that kind of threw me off because you needed the spell to start doing the Maui.
You're right. Yeah, and
So yeah,
with
I've
all
been really discouraged to wail on most recent events since Frozen. Really, there hasn't been a character besides Hero that's
like
been
like
yeah.
say what you want about Frozen. It's I can't even say it's overpowered at this point. Is it annoying? Yes. But I think I've finally come around to the fact that it was their first legendary event, and it deserves to be where it is. People are finding ways to beat it, and it's hard, and it should be hard. But the thing with the Frozen event is, 1 second, Daniel, turn it down. Let's slap it out your hands. Good lord. Anyway, um, I think Frozen is the event they did absolutely right. Okay, so they gave notice. Okay, Elsa's coming. Here are the frozen characters. They did put out packs, but they also put everything in a farmable location. You could farm all these characters, even if you're mid level. You could start doing it. That is how I wish they would do almost all of these. Like, put them, even if it's at the end of the event, put them in a farmable location. Because there's only so much you can farm, there's only so much energy, so you're not going to have to worry about them putting a character out immediately being like, okay, he's going to be 7 stars in a week. You're still going to have to spend money that way. But like me, like I'm slowly farming Gantu and Bubbles. And it's a slow grind. But I'll get there eventually, and I'm okay with that. Frozen, I think, has been their best event, their most consistent balance between people who want a whale and a free to play. And I wish they would follow that a little bit more with each event than what their current pattern is. Does that seem like a fair take on that one?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Frozen was great, and like free to play people could have it the second time around. No other event could second time around, because even like with Incredibles, you could get Elastigirl, and then you need her to get the rest of them. So by the time, even if you max out Elastigirl, there's no way you could get Mr. Incredible and Dash and Violet all up and get in order to get Jack Jack. Like, it's just not possible. And Frozen was amazing, especially considering how meta defining it's been.
Absolutely. And True, I mean, that's the one thing I regret not spending on True is finishing it out to get Elsa 7 stars. But at the end of the day, I realized like even a 5-star Gear 6 Elsa is still really powerful. And I'll just finish it up the next time it's around. It's not bad. I mean, True, you spent on it, but looking at it, even if you didn't spend all of that on that, you would have gotten there on the farm anyway. So it almost feels like what a whale should be is like, I want to progress further in this game faster because I can spend money, which is okay. But if I choose not to spend money, I just have to wait a tiny bit longer. I mean, what do you think about that? Were you happy with the way that the Frozen event was in comparison to these others?
Oh, definitely, because it really gave everyone a shot to unlocking the legendary character, which, made it sound like this is going to be one of the best characters slash teams in the game.
Which
And
it
for,
is,
and forgot, yeah, it is. Shocker.
right?
And whaling should be a faster way to progress, not it's the only way to unlock a character, which it kind of seems how this game's been going recently. Like, if you don't whale, you won't unlock the new character.
Right. Well, guys, we are actually this is a lot longer than the first one, but I think the discussions have been good.
I talk a
I,
lot.
Hey, that's fine, and I like flowing discussions, and we'll see how it goes with this time length and if people enjoy it. Um, One thing I'll end with, I'm gonna start doing a hot take at the end of this at the end of these videos, and you guys can tell me if I'm right or wrong. And I get this because when Toy Story came out, I put in chat that Bo Peep was going to be the new meta in 2 weeks. I was obviously right about that. I don't care what you say. So I'm going to continue my hot takes here. Once people have the ability to unlock Maui and company, and star levels being on equal footing, I think Oceanic is on par or consistently beats Frozen on an on-star, on-gear level basis, all things considered. Thoughts?
With
Yeah.
Stitch, I would say maybe. Because Stitch seems to be their missing piece, in my opinion.
I could see that
Man,
as a long ways down the road now still.
Considering how you unlock him and how accessible the event is, it's going to be at least 3 times around before someone gets a 7-star, I believe.
At least.
Gotcha.
I think it also could be. I mean, I don't know when they're going to release the next meta, but I think if Stitch is meta, if Oceanic is meta, I think it requires Stitch. And if Stitch is then in the meta, I don't think it's another Frozen-like event, maybe like September-ish. So we're talking a month, just over a month from now. And I don't know if they would intentionally make Stitch meta just to release another one.
That's fair. That's fair, guys. All right, so you heard it here first. Oceanic will be meta. I think Oceanic includes Hero. Until Stitch is done, I think the Oceanic team you need is Gantu, Bubbles, Maui, Moana, Hero. I really feel like that's a strong team if all these kits plan
Heard
out.
it here first.
Heard it here first. If you've gotten to the end of this video, you're a brave soul, because this was about 55 minutes in, guys. So, without further ado, my name has been Will DSA. I've been joined by Mr. Whaley Whale True and the doctor of the house, Mr. Science, over here. We will catch you again next week on Friday, if all things go well, for another episode of the Other Side Podcast. Until then, everyone, take care. Have a wonderful night. Myself and Daniel say goodnight. I'm going to put him to bed, and we will talk to you later. Say goodbye, guys.
See ya. Thanks for having me.